Welcome to the Escape Llama podcast.
Woohoo!
I am one of your hosts, Chris Callow, and there with me is Kurt Jackson. Today we are talking about some different basic tech for the escape room, and we have learned in our own research and stuff, it really helps to kind of see things, to see it, to understand it better. And so if you are just an auditory learner and you like to listen just audioly, I'm going to use that word all day, then great, we have the podcast too. Otherwise, if you are a visual learner, we have the video.
Yeah, that sounds good.
How many times can I say the word vidly?
So we are talking about basic tech in this episode because we are trying to keep things affordable. And so low tech, most of the games that we put together or have in the past has been no tech, or at least kind of how I teach it is no tech, just to keep the cost low. And I think, Chris, we have one room at our escape place that doesn't have any tech whatsoever.
Really?
And for some people, it's one of their favorite rooms. So
now, and that has a name too. We talked about that in a previous podcast. That's Gen 1 rooms, right?
When Gen 1 rooms, tech. Right, exactly. So, the theming is great in this room and it looks really good and the puzzles are good. So it's a testament to, the fact that you don't need tech to run a good room, a room that people like. But, you kind of go on the opposite end, and I've done a room where it seems like it's all tech. And you're just kind of like, wow, this is cool. Or you start seeing like really good tech and you're like, ooh. So adding just a bit of basic technology into a low cost room can really give it a wow factor, especially for kids. And that's why we want to cover this topic.
Well, and like how you said, even that room with all tech, because I've done rooms with lots and lots of tech. We did one together, and it was almost too much because I felt like there was no puzzles. It was just like, find something, put it next to something, a door opens. Right. Find something else, put it And so I think that you need to have that good blend, a little bit of tech and a lot of puzzles. Especially for kids.
I agree. Although I went to IAPA and not long ago and was looking at all their stuff. There was so much VR stuff from VR rides to there was this really cool VR. It was kind of escape room-ish thing, but you have like guns, and as a group, you are going along and they keep you in this kind of, I don't want to say cage, but it's an area
You're in a cage.
It's this area, and somehow they keep you in that without bumping into anything. So you're as a group, you're walking along this path, and you have to do a puzzle to get to the next part. And then there's zombies that come, and so you're shooting the zombies, and then you kind of take care of them. And then there's another puzzle, or you have to solve the puzzle before the zombies get you. So it looked really cool, but I mean, VR is all tech, right? Just that is not what we're talking about today. We're not talking about VR today. All right, so I'm going to start things off with something that's very basic, but depending on your game, maybe just what you're looking for. So this is a bike alarm, and you can set it off, or it can be motion controlled. But if you have something that the kids or the family or the players aren't supposed to maybe touch, or they are supposed to maybe get around or whatever, this is something that you can have. You could just hide it somewhere, and if you need to set it off, you just use the remote. We have some shelves that players are not supposed to touch, and if they do, then it sets off the alarm because they're thieves. And so they're going in trying to find something, and they're told not to touch this part or they might set off the alarm. So when that happens, we set it off, and then they're like, oh, okay, we're not supposed to touch that. We get it, and then we turn it off.
How long does the alarm go for?
For I mean, you have the remote, so for as long as you,
Okay.
you know,
You would
it
have
on,
to control it as a game master then.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, and that's like less than $20.
Yeah,
So
that's a cool
my
idea.
first
I
one.
like that. Yeah. All right. So my next one is RFID. And I know some of you hear that and you automatically, you're like, nope, that's too hard. That's too difficult. And I'm with you because RFID seems crazy hard and I don't understand all the tech in it. I don't get Arduino. I'm working on that still. But this is something Kurt and I found at a conference and we went and did it. And this is called RFID Whiz, and it's rfidwiz.com. And they had, I think they call these even like Whizzies is what they're, the Whiz kit. It's pricey, $50, but this is by far the best RFID thing. It is so super simple. And in fact, I'm going to show you kind of how it works and what it looks like. But I know Kurt and I were at this conference and I mean, Kurt, you were there. So you kind of tell a little bit about how it looked and what some different things they had.
Yeah. So we were at Transworld and we found these guys, and it is an RFID setup, but the thing is that you don't have to do all the programming. You don't have to, it's so simple to just set up and use. You can use a RFID card to activate it, or you can use a key fob, or you could even use a sticker and put that sticker on anything. I know that we used a sticker and we put it inside this toy octopus, and then you put it on a wall and it activated a picture to open. So it's really cool. Yes, it's $50. You can also find it on frightprops.com.
Yep.
Besides their own websites. But yeah, I agree. This is really cool. So what do you got? You shown us?
So I made a little like test box, I guess. So I used I had an extra because I have several in my room, and so this is just an extra one to kind of show how it works. But this is just a little box. I actually have the RFID in here. It's attached on the inside, and then I used a mag lock to close this box. So right now it's closed. When I put my RFID in the right spot, it opens up. But you can see inside here, this is all the system. And so once whatever the RFID that we've figured out touches it, you can even hear it click, it turns off the mag lock, so it closes. But right now, it's there. And then when I put it close, it opens right up. Nice. And so it releases the mag lock. And so I love that one. There is another one I have here that I really like. So I'm going to unplug and plug in my other one. This is still using the RFID Whiz. And this is, however, using this little, I think it's called a IoT relay system. And so this relay system, the RFID is actually plugged into it. There is a spot that's called always on that you can plug into. And then there's a couple things that's normally on or normally off. And so normally on means a lamp or a mag lock you can plug in here or something else. And it's always on. That means it's always locked. It's staying locked until the RFID touches the thing, then it would turn it off. Right now I have lights plugged into it. So I want them normally off until the RFID reader goes near it and then it turns it on. Now what I like, and I'll show you kind of what this is why I like the RFID Whiz, is this thing right here. This little button is called train. And so what happens, so here's a bunch of stickers, RFID stickers. So right now, that sticker does not work. There's no working. But if I press this little train button when I hold it close to it, that trains that sticker. So now that sticker will work every time. I can hit this, I think it's 5 times, it tells you on the website, 5 times to erase all the RFIDs. So none of them would work. Or if you hit it 3 times, turns on this special little light here, and it does the opposite. So it holds it on and keeps it on until you turn it off. And so it would keep it there. So just kind of some cool things that this does. It also has a way to release if you want it delayed or instant. So if you have, there's the delayed. So it's going to keep it on for just a little bit, and then it'll eventually turn it off. And so that's why I love this RFID Whiz. I don't need Arduino. I just have this little thing right here. There is a little bit of wiring, not super hard. It was kind of easy to figure out. They have pictures online and love it. I use it all the time.
Nice. Yeah, very cool. In fact, we use one of those in one of our commercial rooms, and it works great. All right, so my next one would be, and again, listen, we're talking about low tech, which means anything beyond just your normal lights, right? That would use either batteries or electricity or something like that. So my next one would be music or background noise, because I really, I've done rooms that have no background noise, no music, and there's just something missing. It feels a little sterile. But once you add in that background ambiance, that noise, or maybe there's music that's part of a puzzle like Chris does, it really enhances kind of the overall game. So definitely playing music through speakers that are placed here and there will really help. I highly suggest that.
Cool. Next on my list, and I showed you a little bit with the RFID, is the mag locks. And so here is several different mag locks. They have some that are 80-pound mag locks. They have some that are 400-pound mag locks. And these are just, so what mag locks are is they connect to some kind of power source. And when they are powered on, the magnet works and it is strong. And so when you are using the mag lock, you can't pull it apart. Now, I will tell you, we learned a very valuable lesson building our room. I have a sliding door, and we put the mag lock right next to it, so it would lock before it slid open. Except mag locks, while it takes 40 pounds or 400 pounds to open like this, they can slide real easy. So know that for your mag locks. If your item can move or slide around, mag locks will not work for that. It just slides right off the magnet. So the way you need a door or a cabinet that would open out away from the magnet to attach those two. But again, it was simple to attach. It's got two wires coming off it, so it's your positive, negative. You attach those to either a plug-in or something that the people, if they flip a switch to turn it off. I was in a room one time where they had those little dial switches that you can kind of go any which way, and they had a whole box of it. And so when you put the box, they had a puzzle that this one goes up, this one goes down, this one goes left, this one goes right, and once you got all of them in the right spot, it turned off the power to the mag lock, and so the door opened. I thought that was really, really cool, just a neat way. But mag locks are a great way to hide things in a cabinet that you don't want open quite yet.
So my next one would be RC cars, remote control cars.
Yep.
I have been in a room where there is a kind of a little hole to the next room, but that door is locked. However, in the hole, you find there's like an RC car in that other room, and you unlock a box and you have a remote control. You find a remote control. On that remote control car, there's a magnet, and you have to drive it over to where this key is. The magnet picks up the key, and then you have to drive it back to you so that you can get the key to unlock the door and get into that next room. It's really cool. I've also seen where there is a small remote control car, and then you've got this little town with a road, and it's covered in plexiglass, and attached is a key, and you have to drive it around the road out of kind of that hole where the plexiglass is so that you can get the key to unlock a door or a box. And so it's very cool. I think that's a very low tech thing to do. It's a lot of fun. People really enjoy that kind of thing. So, and RC cars can be really cheap. So check that out.
Next one for me is one I use in my room, and it is a human circuit. And so the way it works, I bought this exact one, $48. That's not super expensive. Bought that, and it didn't take too long. I was a little worried because it is coming from overseas, but I think it was only about 2 weeks that it took to show up. The way it works is you get these little clips, and here's the maybe. And you get all this stuff here. And so it shows really easy how to plug these in, how to do all this. And then on the other side, you can attach your wires, your whatever you want it to go to. And so the way I did it in my room is I bought 2 pieces of metal and I drew handprints on them. And then I actually took off the clips and I just used the wire that's here. There's a little wire that came out, used that, attached it to the back of the metal so you can't see it. It's on the wall. And then when you touch you touch them both and you hold hands to make a circuit, it will then turn on the electricity. And so mine turns on a light in the room, a different lamp thing. But you have to touch hands. So you got to hold hands to make the circuit. And I love it every time people try it. They touch it because they see the hand, so they touch it like, oh, that's not working. Oh, touch that one too. Oh, that's not working. And I have a little hint in my thing that talks, there's a song called Holding Hands or something like that. And so they see that like, oh, let's try holding hands. And so as soon as they hold hands, the light turns on and that's how it works. And they love that aha, like that's so cool. They also, I don't know what I do here at camp that frightens people because everyone's like, am I going to get electrocuted if I touch this?
Yeah, right.
Like, what do you think I'm doing? Like, am I electrocuting children here at camp? I don't know, but I always think that's funny. They're a little leery about touching it at first.
Can you just touch fingers or do you have to hold hands?
So here's a fun story. As long as there is a connection, like the skin to skin connection. And so I was trying to take a picture of this with my daughter who's 5 and who's super teeny tiny little. And it's across the room from each other in my escape room. And so I'm like, Roar, just one finger touch that thing and then reach way out with your other finger to touch me. And she still couldn't reach. So I had one finger on my side and then I took my shoes and socks off and reached my foot way out. So as soon as she touched the toe of my foot, the light came on so that we could get the picture for it. But yeah, as long as there is that connection of human hands, and it could be, mine is made for about 3 people have to hold hands. And I think that's good because you want that, but you really have to decide on your room. Like, don't put it so far because if you only have 3 people in there, they're not going to be able to make it work.
My next one would be TVs. All right. So, TVs, monitor, something like that you could put in the room. You can show people a, intro video. You can put up on screen any maybe hints that you have. You can have something. We have one room where it's constantly playing this background video that goes with the theme. It has no puzzle value, but it definitely fits the room. And so using a TV or a monitor that, nice big one, is giving your room a little bit more excitement. So TVs would be my next one.
Good. Next for me actually goes along with my human circuit. This is what we did for it. So this is very low tech, something simple. We stuck in my room. I bought this see-through mirror, $30, a little pricey, but you want the good stuff because it does scratch really well. Even though it says scratch resistant, it does scratch pretty easily. And so I stuck this mirror in the room. I framed it so it looks like a mirror, but I put behind the mirror in the wall so they can't see. There's kind of like a little cabinet, like a medicine cabinet kind of thing. And I put some words on there and I put a light. And so when you touch the human circuits, this is normally what they would see. They'd see this. It would reflect, comes back at them. But when they turn on the light, they can see behind the mirror and they can see what the words say. And so that way, when they are, when they touch and see the human circuit, the lights turn on, very low tech, simple. You could even just have a switch, but using that see-through mirror to kind of hide something that maybe the lights would then show up. Easy, low tech stuff. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool. All right. So my next one would be walkie-talkies. Walkie-talkies can be used in various ways. One, you can use it to get hints. So they say, oh, Game Master, we need a hint. And the Game Master can walkie-talkie and be like, oh, okay, here's whatever. You can also use it if you happen to separate the group into 2 rooms. They can walkie-talkie each other. Or you can just have it to where you send them a message that's part of the game. There's a recording, or maybe you put Morse code through the walkie-talkie. There's a lot of different ways you can use walkie-talkies. So that would be my next one.
Cool. I like that. And I think every room I've done here in Peoria area has walkies, which is funny. So
it's not my favorite for a hint system. It's actually my least favorite, really. But If we're talking low tech and we want to keep the, the prices down, then it's pretty good.
Yeah, and that's what this is. Yeah, that's what we're going for here is very basic. You can go
low
big.
Cost.
Yeah, Good night. They have a little bit of everything, but we're going basic tech. Next on mine, I don't even know if you'd call it tech, but it fits. Magnetic cabinet locks. And these are just little locks that will keep a cabinet shut, except when you put that magnet there, it sucks the lock down. And so then that way it just releases it. So you can kind of see here in this picture, when it sticks up, it holds the cabinet shut. You put the magnet near it, it lowers it. So very similar to a mag lock where, if you have that RFID that would release it, it kind of works the same way. This is just even more low tech. Here's my one problem with it. So there is a con. You can really only use one of these in your room because one magnet works for all of them. And so unless you want all of the cabinets locked and you want all of them to be unlocked by the same device, the same magnet, otherwise it's not like they're gonna have to find a new magnet for another cabinet. They could just keep reusing that same magnet and opening all of them.
Yeah, and that goes against kind of what we usually try to do in escape rooms where one key opens one lock. Or, one combination opens one lock. Yep, one and done. All right, my next one would be electronic door locks, something like this, where the way I like to use this is at the end of the game, if you're having an escape the room scenario, the team has to find the 4-digit or 5-digit code to get out of the room. Of course, we don't ever lock the rooms and we tell the players that, but this is the end of their game. So they put it in. If it's right, it comes up green. If it's wrong, it comes up red. There are a bunch of different styles of electronic locks that you can add to your door. So that would be my next one.
Ooh. All right. My next one is one of my favorite aha moments in my room. It's right at the beginning, and it is using black lights and chroma depth glasses. And so the way chroma depth works, all of these pictures are chroma depth. I can't even say it very well. But reds come towards you and blues go away from you. And so right as you walk into my room, you see this, the whole room is painted with black light reflective, black light reactive paint. And so everything shines, everything glows. And then there's some red tentacles from my octopus, and you look at them and man, it feels like you can grab them with these chroma depth glasses. So they're super neat, and it helps force the person to go, oh, that's something, because the tentacles are actually numbers. They're painted to look like different numbers. Like he's got a curl, so it looks like a 6, and then there's I think a 3 and a 9 or something. But it forces the people to kind of see that. But that chroma depth glasses, they're a little more expensive. They're not like 3D glasses. They're not like the ones you can buy for your TVs. You have to actually buy chroma depth, DEPTH depth glasses. But yeah, it's a fun aha moment right at the beginning. Everyone likes it, and everyone walks in and they're doing this where they're trying to grab things that aren't there, which I think is funny.
All right, my next one would be security cameras, or cameras that if you are running the room outside or in a different room as a game master, you can see what's going on. So you can use security cameras. You can go basic and use baby cams as well. And those, you can just have them move. Of course, you're looking at them on a small screen, but those can move. And you can also, with those baby cams, you can even hear what they're saying. And that's really low cost. But if you want to get like security cameras that have mics, that's usually the better way to go. And then you're in a different room with a monitor. You couple that with the walkie-talkie or the TV, and you can type out, or say whatever your hints are.
All right. Another neat, easy, very low tech is a lamp and a lampshade. And so this is one of the puzzles Kurt put in my room here at camp. And he just taped some numbers on the inside of the lampshade. And it's like 4 different numbers taped in there. And so when they turn on the lamp, the shadow of the paper that's taped on there kind of shows through, and they can see real quick, 5349. But it's just numbers taped on a lampshade. How low tech can you get? That's pretty simple.
You had to get a white, kind of like the white lampshade, and you put it in there, and you just use like the spray adhesive to put the numbers on there. But you want to kind of check it to make sure that without the light, it doesn't come through.
Yeah. And I do have every now and then, because it's a big lampshade. We bought the biggest lamp I could apparently find at Walmart. So it's this huge lampshade. So sometimes the light from the ceiling light shines down on it. So I actually have it turned too.
Yep.
So the numbers are kind of at the wall, but when they turn it on, they see obviously there's something there, and they turn it around so they can kind of see it better. But yeah, it's because it's such a big round lampshade, the numbers show through.
Right.
So.
All right, my next one is something that I've used in the past, which is a laptop. You get your thumb drive. The kids find a thumb drive, they put it into the laptop, and then they open the file, and maybe there's a code, or it's a picture of something in the room, or it's a poem or riddle or whatever you want. But finding a thumb drive, put it into a laptop is a great way, because we all have laptops. So that shouldn't cost you anything extra.
Next one for me, we kind of talked about this a little bit with the music, but we actually do this in our virtual escape room, where they're listening for different sounds. So while there's background music playing, they can hear different sounds. So one of them is they hear like jangling of change, and then they hear a horse, and then they hear swords fighting, they hear a broken window. And so they hear all these things. They're just on a constant loop in the background, and they get to a puzzle, and the puzzle has pictures of all that. It has a picture of a money, and it has a picture of a broken window. It has a picture of a horse, it has a picture of swords. And so they know by listening to those sounds that they go in that order. So, the money goes first because they heard it first. Then the window goes second because they heard it second. You do have to, when you create this loop of sounds, you do have to make sure you have a pause somewhere, at least 5 seconds-ish pause. So that way they know, okay, this is where it starts over. This is the beginning. Also, you don't want your loop and your sounds to be forever long. I mean, if they're waiting 20 minutes just to hear the order, it's
right.
It's going to be awful. And so I was trying to think, I'm pretty sure ours is about, it's maybe 45 seconds total. So we put enough space between the different sounds that it's not like money, say, window, change, all this stuff real fast. But it's just enough of a break that they kind of hear the music in the background too, and it kind of fades. We have learned, which is very interesting, adults completely ignore this. They block that out and they don't hear it, but kids will hear it automatically, like, oh, I heard a horse earlier. Horse is first. And so they really get that. So great kid puzzle with this.
I mean, you can also have something that instead of just dead air, you could be like, now we start, or now we begin, or anything, like a bing, or something that would just trigger, oh, that's the start. Begin.
Yeah.
All right. Kind of going off that would be, there are, I saw at Target a radio that it's a Christmas radio, and you turn it on, and it has like a pre-recorded, hey, this is Blizzard Bob, and here's the, weather for today. Or you change the stations, like, hey, we had a great ice skating. Here are the sports scores, or whatever. But what you can do is you use this radio, you have a clue to turn it on, and then you've got, how many inches of snow. And then they have to figure out how many inches of snow, how, whatever numbers there are. And then they add the numbers, and that total becomes the combination to a lock. So, is that Target was like $20, $25. But you could definitely use that as a puzzle. And I think it really fits a Christmas theme well, but I'm sure there are other things that you can do, like other pre-recorded radio sets.
Yeah.
They're out there. Probably one for Halloween or whatever. I don't know. So yeah,
that's cool. I like that. The next one I have on my list is something we just did in an escape room. It was a Christmas escape room, and part of the theme was you had presents. So you open one of the presents, and one of the presents was this Viewmaster, old school tech. And so the reel inside the
You call that
Viewmaster.
tech? You call that tech? All right.
It's definitely old school. It was technology back in my day. But the reel on this Viewmaster was when you saw the kids and they had their names on their shirts, and they were holding up like their stocking. And so that's how you kind of knew which stocking hung on the fireplace in the right order. And so when they were all put in the right order, something popped out and you got the next thing. But you had to use this Viewmaster. And this one I found on Amazon it's a custom one. And so you can kind of get your own little things, but you can also, there's a whole, you can build your own reels online. I mean, they have tons of stuff. This is kind of a popular thing. People actually do at weddings and things like that. And they'll put these Viewmasters out on the table, and it's got pictures of the bride and groom. So not super expensive to get custom reels made, and you can have kind of whatever you want in it, or find an old Viewmaster at Goodwill and use whatever they come with and tie it into your room. So
nice. All right. Viewmaster. All right, my next one would be lights. So using like Christmas lights, you can do kind of that Stranger Things where you're doing letters. And especially if you use these with the RFID, the whizzes. But you can also have a map and have lights at certain areas. And then if there's like, what you can do is have a little clue somewhere that says, kind of has an order. So red, yellow, blue, and whatever that light is, you find the, I don't know, state or the country or the city, and you take the first letter of each of those, and that could open a word lock. So there's a lot of different things you could do with lights, and lights are really cheap, kind of the little bulb lights.
Next on my list is using Morse code in your room. We've seen this a lot. The way I did it in my very first room I built is I had video, so visual and audio. And so that way they saw there was a DVD that we had created. They saw it on the TV, the dots and the lines, as well as they heard kind of the long line versus the dots. And we even separated on the DVD where it said, word one. And then we did each of the things, each letter, pause, next letter, pause, next letter, pause. And they had in the room, there was a Morse code alphabet that you can also then, you could see it, and they wrote it down on a whiteboard and they spelled it out, and that opened up, it said something like the code is this. You can go expensive on these too. I mean, if you really want, I found this Morse code prop for $230. I actually used this prop. We were in a room that we got to use this prop, and it was neat. You had to type in the Morse code for something to happen. It took me a couple tries to get it right, but I mean, I just put something in there. They can figure it out on their own. DVD is a lot cheaper than that prop.
All right. My next one would be to use a speaker and a wireless mic, such as like a karaoke setup. And that way you can put the speaker in the room. And then if you're in a different room as Game Master, you can say, somebody asked for a hint, and you can give it to them through the speaker. Or you can have maybe your Game Master inside, but you've got somebody else on the outside, and at a certain time they say something, that type of thing. But you can there's different ways you can use kind of a wireless mic with a speaker system. And I've got one more, and that would be QR codes. So if you have a cell phone, an extra cell phone or something like that, you can just have a QR code somewhere. The players use that cell phone, they open it up, and that shows a picture or shows a code or whatever you want. But QR codes are really, you make the QR code for free on there. There's a bunch of different sites, and then you just print that out, put it up somewhere, and they use a cell phone. Easy peasy.
And I will tell you too, because I've learned this. A lot of people are like, oh, extra cell phone, who has that? Especially if you're looking for low tech. You can find cell phones on like Facebook Marketplace or your Craigslist or whatever, really cheap, old ones that no longer work. You just need an old smartphone, and you don't have to have Wi-Fi. You don't have to have any cellular plan on it, because when you create a QR code, you can actually create it to go to text. So not to, don't create it to go to a website, but you want the QR code to go to text. So when they scan it, it pulls up a little thing just right in their system that says, letter A, or this is the word hello, or things like that. And that way you don't need a data plan. You don't need Wi-Fi, just need an old smartphone. And there's tons of those out there. I do know, I think it was the iPhone. Oh, I should have looked this. I think you need to look, because I think iPhone 5 is the earliest that the camera will detect QR codes. If you go too much older than that, they won't detect.
You just get the QR app, the QR reader app.
Yeah, I guess you could. You can always download that. Yeah, just have go that way too. Yep.
So cool. I think that's all we've got. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's a lot of low tech stuff.
It is. It gives you a lot of options for your rooms.
All right. Again, thanks for listening. We hope you tune in next time and either watch us or listen to us for our next episode of Escape Llama. See ya.
Bye.